into existence.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this live stream today. Today, we are going to be talking about some dialogue tools that I use every single day. And really, we're going to focus on my most used tools because there's, special tools. It's like if you're a mechanic, you're going to be using a wrench, you're going to be using sockets a lot of the time. But every once in a while, you need like a slide hammer or a seal puller or something, something that is in the back of your toolbox. We'll cover a little bit of that stuff, but mostly I'm going to focus on like the meat and potatoes of what I use during a dialogue edit. And this is, to just be clear, working as a dialogue editor on union projects with, real budgets and a real, I'm not mixing these. I'm just cutting the dialogue. And I think it's important to differentiate between dialogue editing and dialogue mixing because so many people skip dialogue editing. And it's probably the most crucial part of audio post-production for anything. I mean, whether it's a YouTube video, feature film, TV show, podcast, whatever you're creating, if it has spoken word, synced up with visuals or not synced up because, podcasts don't have visuals, getting the content correct, not the EQ and compression and noise reduction, but the actual content that's in your timeline correct. Like if you have that right, the mix goes so much smoother. So even if you are mixing your own stuff, which a lot of you are, don't shortchange the process of actual dialogue editing when you're working on something. Go through all the steps. The quality of the finished product is going to really show the care that you put into the editing phase, the sound editing phase, dialogue editing in particular today of the process. So I know everybody likes to get to the mix, but you have to do the editing first. Just a tech thing, I am running my sound a little different today. I think Simon actually on Discord helped me figure out that I was getting dropouts in my stream, and I'm pretty sure it was from the ProTools aux IO. So as always, let me know if there's any audio issues. But I was getting a dropout like once every 5 minutes or so, and I think it's because of the aux IO. So I'm going with just a hardware connection today. It's kind of ghetto, but I've got a secondary headphone output on my Audient Aurea. So it's going from the headphone output through my stream box, my hardware streamer. Let me know if there's any issues and I'll try to troubleshoot it because it's a sound channel. So if the sound isn't good, then it's like, what the heck? What are you doing? So quick shout out to channel members. We've got our members only Discord. The discussion on here the past week has been really cool. People are talking about like matchbacks and ADR editing and DCPs. So if you're interested in joining the channel as a member, there should be a join button and just, click that. It's a couple bucks a month and you get access to the Discord. You get members only discount on my website. And I mean, there's some other stuff. I'm considering doing some audio post boot camps when my work slows down. So I've got to kind of wrap my brain around that. But yeah, so there's that. And then there's also Cedar Audio has given me an affiliate link. I use Cedar on every single dialogue mix that I do. I've even used it on Foley and music. So if you're looking for kind of the industry standard high quality noise reduction, I've got a link on this stream and some of my other streams and videos for you to pick this up. I get a little kickback if you buy from that link. So the kind of ones I'm demoing right now, you can actually hear it on the stream on my microphone. I think, I've got Cedar ScreenVox, which is like a real-time noise reduction. So I'll just show you what it sounds like without that on. and then with it engaged. And I'm having to use this because my streamer has a little fan. I need to replace the fan. And the fan it's audible. It's not loud, but it's audible. And the cedar really helps clean it up. So I use that on my streams. And then when I'm mixing, I use DNS1 to mix, not to edit, just to mix. So today we are talking about dialogue editing tools, not dialogue mixing tools. And I mean, let's just jump right in. I made a little bit of an outline. So let me just check this and make sure. Oh, okay. So one thing I don't do very much is talk about like kind of my background, and because why would you trust me? Who's Tom? Like what have I done? I've been working in the film industry since about 2008, the year I graduated from college. And I have specialized as a dialogue editor, more on like the bigger budget union projects. So I've worked on, some stuff you've probably seen. I've worked on 1923, The Last of Us, John Wick 4, Lioness, a bunch of Taylor Sheridan shows, Mayor of Kingstown. And then there's some shows that haven't come out yet that I've worked on, or I am working on. But you can check me out on IMDb. Just look up my name. Needless to say, I have an okay amount of experience to be able to talk about dialogue and audio post in general, because I've worked as a re-recording mixer, sound designer, really wide range of experience. And so the reason I made this channel was to share some of that knowledge, because it's not a black art. It's like a lot of people are very protective of their knowledge. And sometimes that comes from a place of fear. I don't want somebody to take my job. I don't have that fear because, I mean, if I can make you guys good at what you do, that just makes the craft better. It lifts the films up that you work on. It improves your skills. It maybe gives you a way to make a living. So to me, that's just like giving back to this industry that has kind of given me a living. So I'm not really afraid of any of that kind of stuff. But so my experience is pretty broad. I am a dialogue specialist. So that's kind of why I talk about dialogue so much. So, okay, I've got our chat. Sorry, I didn't have the chat up. That's my bad. I usually do that. Let's just jump right into some tools. So a lot of people, when you talk about dialogue editing tools, they think plugins. What plugins do you use? Tell me what plugins to buy. I got $2,000 burning a hole in my pocket. Let me spend some money on plugins. And plugins are important, but there's some things that are more, I would say more important or equally as important, probably more important than spending your money on a bunch of tools, because there's all these companies that will take your money. So do you really need to give every company, every noise reduction, no, you don't. Really, you need a handful of tools that you use all the time. Those sockets, and a set of spanners if you're from the UK, or a hammer if you're a carpenter. Like, you need those daily, really kind of bread and butter tools, which is what we're going to be focused on today. So the first one is not even a plugin. It is headphones. I've got these. I didn't prepare any of this stuff. I'm just kind of grabbing things. And this one actually has like a lav mic kind of tangled up in it. My studio is really not clean at all. I need to pay my housekeeper, which is my wife, to come out here and clean. So headphones are important. I have, like, ever since my production sound days, the Sennheiser HT280 Pros are kind of like, they're just good for isolating sounds. Like, if you have a noisy environment or you have to edit dialogue on a train or when you're in an airport, the Sennheiser HT280 Pros isolate. They're closed back, so they isolate the outside world from your ears passively. Another one, and the ear cups on these, I'm sorry, are super nasty. Like, this is just from head grease. That's why they're brownish. Obviously, I've had these for a long time. These are DT880 Pros. Beyerdynamics are really good. And then recently, I think Dell actually turned me on to these, the Allo Audios. I think these are SX4. These are really nice. Really flat, comfortable, pretty classy looking. These are probably the nicest set of headphones I own. And they're good for dialogue editing. So headphones. Why am I talking about headphones? Because for dialogue editing, you really need to be close to the sound, I guess is a good way to put it. And you need to edit on both speakers and headphones. I like to do my first pass on studio monitors to get the clip gain and just not have headphones on my head all day. But I go back through and do subsequent passes on headphones to find those little ticks and the lav rustle, like some of the more high frequency stuff that gets sucked up by my room. When I put headphones on, I can hear it very clearly. And it also just helps to kind of mix up your perspective when you're editing, because listening at the same volume with the same speakers can be like, you get used to the imperfections and your brain starts to just gloss over them. And as a dialogue editor, you really need to make your tracks as close to perfect as they can be for the mixer. And that doesn't mean reducing broadband noise or EQing or compressing. It means removing the evidence of filmmaking. To me, that's what most of dialogue editing is about. So first tool is headphones. Let's also talk about studio monitors, because those are pretty important. I think let me check this other camera. I think this USB-C connection is a little flimsy, so there's some JBL LSR 308s. That's actually kind of cool. You can see the multi-view of the live stream. You can see my light too. So studio monitors are very important. You can see I've got a stereo pair and then a center channel. The center channel is 90 degrees rotated to make space for my screen, which doesn't really matter because I'm dead center in front of it. So the waveguide on the tweeter, let me see if I can poke it. There we go. This guy, people say don't turn your studio monitors like that because the waveguide is going to be spreading the sound out top to bottom instead of left to right. Great, cool. That means if I bounce up and down, it's going to be able to hit my ears whether they're high or low. So studio monitors, calibrating your room, tuning your room, super important. Really crucial, critical monitoring. Having an accurate way to do that is tops. And even for a dialogue editor, make sure your room is tuned, so you're not boosting frequencies. I've had to dialogue edit in small rooms where there's a lot of bass problems with the room, and it masks all of the mids because the bass is so boomy, or there's like a certain frequency that pokes out and it just blasts my ears so I can't hear those ticks that are in the high frequencies. Flat monitoring, super important. Paul Cruz is asking Dirac or Sound ID. I've tested both of those, and I have kind of a manual correction for my room for each channel. This is the Audient Aurea interface, or software, I guess. So the interface I have is Audient Aurea, and you can actually tune the room. And I don't have my tops with any EQ for the Atmos because they sounded good flat. But all the other speakers I've got EQ and Q settings and delay. So having all that stuff set up is very important. I can't overstate that enough, that your monitoring is the first thing you need to fix. So before you go out and spend money on plugins, go to Home Depot, get some 2x4s and some insulation, treat your room. You don't have to spend money on anything like the GK acoustics or GIK, whatever they are. You don't have to send Sweetwater any of your money. Go to Home Depot, build it yourself. That's what I've done. Every place I've worked, home studios or little professional studios, I've always built my own treatment because it's cheaper. I can tailor it, and I can change it too. Like if I want to take more bass out of the room, I know how to do that. So that's monitoring and headphones, very important. So check that off your list if you have that done. If not, work on it, because if you can't hear the detail, you can't hear the nasties that are in the dialogue, you're not going to be able to deal with them. Okay, next, hardware stuff I have on my outline. We kind of talked a little bit about monitors and headphones and stuff like that. And yeah, so kind of ergonomically, I guess, a trackball mouse. This is the Kensington Expert mouse for experts. You can see I wear one of these out every year, just about. The thumb area right here. Yeah, right here. You can see it's starting to get pretty worn because I click, thousands of times a day. Use whatever works for you, but just know that if you are using something a lot, spend a little bit of money on a quality thing, like a good mouse. If you don't like trackballs, that's fine. Just find something that fits your workflow and make sure you're not wearing it out like every couple of months. So that, a keyboard, like I've got, I need to go to this guy. Let's see if this works. I've got a little gamer keyboard here. This is a Corsair K55. The reason I picked that one is because I like the semi-mechanical feel. I don't care about all the epic Fortnite LED colors or whatever, but just something that is robust enough to withstand me hammering on it, all day for a month or two. So those are kind of like ergonomic. A good chair. Like this is not a Herman Miller Aeron, Aeron. It's just a Amazon gaming chair that's not, well, I think it's like an office chair or something like that. It's not like one of the high quality, it's not a Herman Miller, but it did cost like probably $300, and it's got mesh on my tush. That is nice to not get swamp butt, which is kind of gross to talk about, but you're going to be sitting a lot. I also have a sit stand desk. I haven't raised it up because I've been exercising. Instead of raising my desk to stand all day, I've been like, doing physical stuff when I'm not working. That seems to be a better fit for me. Because I'm an active person. I'm like, it's not natural for me to sit down. So it's kind of weird that I'm in this job where I'm sitting all day. So keyboard, mouse, chair, super important. Monitors, fairly important. I have 2 monitors set up so I can have plugins on one side and ProTools on the other. Everything right now is smushed into one for the stream, but I will normally have the plugins off to the left. So over here, off screen, and that way I can use, let's skip ahead a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to tell you about is, it's not quite a secret, but it's something a lot of people don't recommend because they're so into the stream decks and the sound flow. And I tried SoundFlow, I tried the Stream Deck. Somebody brought it in and they're like, you have to try this. It's such a great workflow. And I tried it and I was like, it's cool. It's cool to have another gadget off to the side. And the problem I had with it is, where do I want my hands to be when I'm working? I want my left hand on the keyboard and I want my right hand on the mouse. So I don't want to deviate from this too much, because every time I pick my hand up and go over here, that's costing me a half a second or so. And if you multiply that by 1,000 times, it adds up. It's time. It's time that you're wasting. So I want to have everything under my left hand on the keyboard and everything under my right hand for the mouse. How do you do that? Well, the way you do that is with a program called Keyboard Maestro. I love Keyboard Maestro. It has saved me probably at this point weeks of my life. And it's way cheaper than SoundFlow. It's way cheaper than a Stream Deck. Sure, it doesn't have the prestige of having another, Chinese made gadget by your by your keyboard with fancy lights and icons that you can make, and you can do JavaScript to create. No, I don't care about that. Here's what I need it to do. When I hit Option C, it's going to declick whatever audio is under the mouse. I need to send stuff to Izotope. When I hit Command R, it renders it. When I hit Command S, it sends it. So it actually, the order of that is more like this. I can't change them. That's cool. So those are the only 3 things I have set up in Keyboard Maestro right now, because that's all I need. And those 3 things are what make my dialogue editing go super fast, because all I have to do to take ticks out is highlight and do a keyboard command, Option C. I'll have to move this off screen, but I'll show you how fast this can go now. Oops. Oh, that's right. The problem with this setup is you have to have it exactly in the correct layout, because all it's doing is telling I'll show you. It's telling the mouse to go to this pixel on your other screen. So you have to have the plugins set perfectly. So now they should be set perfectly. So bam, I can just go through and I can declick the individual spots. Instead of sending the whole thing to Izotope, I can just go through and just pop through these really fast, do them one by one so they're nice and accurate, and I'm not declicking or batch denoising stuff. And this is how you can just blow through cleanup tasks by doing that. The other thing I can do is I can send it to Izotope. Okay, all these are ticks. Now I'm going to do that. I'm going to send it back. I'm going to render it. That's how fast. I'll do that again and let me turn on Keycaster, because it's pretty cool. I did a kind of like I guess it'd be kind of a Zoom class with somebody. They were like, how do I, get faster with dialogue editing and filling and stuff? And so I showed them this trick. So I'm going to do this slowly, and then I'll show you how fast it is. And I'm going to narrate what I do. So click, drag, Option S, sends it to Izotope. Highlight the noise, declick in Izotope, tab to send back, Option R to render. So I'm going to do that again. This time I'm going to do it at speed. Done. That's how fast it is. So with those shortcuts, you can speed your workflow up, and it doesn't seem like much, but you speed it up enough to where you're saving maybe 2 or 3 seconds with every cleanup, and you're cleaning up thousands of little pieces of audio per day. You can start to see like you're getting weeks of your life back. And that's without spending money on a stream deck or SoundFlow. It's like $30 for Keyboard Maestro. You pay one time and it's yours for life. And my hand doesn't leave the keyboard. My right hand doesn't leave the mouse. And it's fast. It's like, blazing fast. Oh, we can't talk about Speedy Gonzalez anymore. It's very sad. But what Roadrunner fast, I guess. Roadrunner always wins, by the way. So yeah, so that's kind of like a big speed workflow thing. And then you get done earlier with your day and you get to spend more time with your family. So that's great. And Matthias says, for those on Windows, AutoHotkey is a good alternative to Keyboard Maestro. Yes. Okay, so let me just go through my outline really quick. Let's take just a little, we're starting to get into the software stuff, so it's kind of a good spot to go back through comments and see what I need to answer. Yeah, so Black Hole, I'm trying to go for more hardware stuff for my streaming because it's just more reliable. Braden says, I just picked up Acon last week and love it. That's great. And Simon says, no audio drops. Great. Yeah, let me know. Keep me informed. Furniture pads also work well for dampening compared to other brand sound blankets. Yep. Simon says it cost him $30 per panel versus $250 each. How often do you replace the keyboard? Jen, that's an excellent question. I haven't had to replace this Corsair keyboard yet, but I've only had it for maybe 2 years or a year and a half, something like that. So generally before that, it was like once every 5 years, I would guess. And I try to buy nicer keyboards so it's not an every year thing. The Expert mouse, the last one lasted me like 10 years, and this one is already wearing out. So there's kind of like the post-COVID quality dip of everything from computer stuff to car parts to restaurant food. Like everything just seems to be doo-doo right now, and it's really sad. I don't know if that's true where you guys live, but in the US, it seems like after COVID, everything just got terrible. Like it's expensive and the quality's low, and there's no like, oh, things will get better. It's just like, that's just how it is, bub. Suck it up. You know, pay me and be thankful you have anything. So it's rough. So yeah, buy once, cry once. Okay. For location, to use window config to make a preset. I've done that, Joe, but honestly, I only really use a couple things with Keyboard Maestro, so I just drag them where they need to go most of the time. Simon says, do you make small fades before and after when you clean clicks? If I hear the bump, I do, but most of the time, I don't need to. Here's a D-click right here. Let's see how the zero crossing looks. Yeah, it seems fine. So this is what I look for. Here's the cut. If the zero crossing matches, or I'm sorry, if the cut happens and the cycle goes through without a little pop there, it's usually fine. If you crank up the sensitivity, then you're going to end up getting a change here. Oh, no. Interesting. So yeah, most of the time I won't do tiny little crossfades. I just let it play. If it doesn't pop, you don't need a crossfade. Paul says, I'd love to see you design and mix a TV ad. That would take a long time. Sound design usually is like the slowest part of what I do. But kind of what's different with a TV ad is just louder, bigger, less layers, more monophonic approach for sound design. Like you basically have 30 seconds and you get to hear one sound at a time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do a ton of ads. I don't really like working on them because there's always like 25 producers who all want different things. The last one I did, I thought it paid good. And then I got like, weeks of notes and I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to do this anymore. Okay. So, Andreas says, when you're editing, do you clip gain first? Yes, that kind of goes, that's more of a workflow thing other than a tool, but it kind of ties in with your monitors. You want to calibrate your room and then you want to clip gain stuff so it's loud enough. And something I see a lot of new dialogue editors do is just not clip gain their tracks up enough. And so, of course, when everything is 20 decibels below reference, it's going to sound fine because it's just quiet. You can't hear all the gross stuff that's going on underneath. So make sure you clip gain your tracks. I like to clip gain them up to spec, about -24, and listen pretty loud, like 82 dB, 85 dB in my room. And I can find pretty much all the ticks if I do that, even without headphones. So good question. Sending to Izotope in DaVinci. Yes, you can do that. It's not as fast, but it uses the external audio process, which I'm not going to show you, but you can, maybe I could do, when work slows down, I can do a video on external audio process in DaVinci, but that's how you use Izotope with it. So, all right, so we're kind of getting into Izotope a little bit, which is good. I would say Izotope is my most used tool. This is like the equivalent of, man, what would maybe like an impact, like an impact wrench for a mechanic. This is like, it's in my hand all day. And yeah, or a hammer for a carpenter, like this is my hammer. So these are the two things the two audio suite plugins I use in Pro Tools, D-Click and RX Connect. I do not like mouth D-Click And that is a kind of, it comes from just not liking doing batch processing and not liking grabbing a whole file and processing it. Like, I don't like to do this in an audio suite stuff. I like to go in, zoom way in, and literally go frame by frame and declick it. And you can see I hit the keyboard shortcut and it wasn't where I was supposed to be, so it didn't work. But I like doing things frame by frame. You just get a better quality result if you take the time to do that. So I use declick on like single frames or subframes or maybe 2 frames at a time. And then if I can't do that, then I'm sending it through RX Connect to Izotope and using Izotope's wonderful 2-dimensional spectral editor. And a lot of the issues you can resolve just by simple copy and paste. That move right there, having a nasty and grabbing a frequency and time selection and pasting over the top, is old school, but it works most of the time. You can do just a time selection like this, but I find I get better results if I only correct the problem frequencies, just like that. So maybe I didn't want this tick in there, so instead of highlighting this whole thing and pasting over, because there's good stuff down here, I'm just pasting over. It's like a patch on clothes. You're not going to patch the whole leg of the jeans. You're just going to patch the hole. And that's all I like to do. I like to touch stuff as little as possible, because every time you touch a piece of audio, you're actually degrading the quality. It's like touching a vinyl record. Like you're taking something away from it. And my value as a dialogue editor is not in how AI clean stuff can be. It's how my decision making creates a track or a mix of tracks that sounds real. And I'm going for real with my dialogue edits. I'm not going for squeaky clean. I want them to sound good, and I want them to sound real, and I don't want them to sound robotic. So taking the time to do stuff by hand always gives you a better result, you know, than just hammering stuff with like, let me highlight all this and let me declick it all. That's not going to sound good. Okay. So, got that. The declick modules are transient shaper. I don't think so. I don't know, man. I haven't talked to Izotope. I'd love to talk to them and help them with some of the quibbles I have with some of their stuff. But I'm pretty sure their declicker it's part transient shaper, and then I think it also takes a before and after sample of the selection and like and stitches it together. So if I do this, I think it's looking before and after and kind of like healing that. I don't know. Ambience match. We're going to talk about that with a different tool. Ambience match, generally, sometimes it'll work. So if I'm going to do this the slow way. So ambience match learn, and then ambience match render, output ambience only. The problem with this is it doesn't always match 100%. It's close, but you kind of have to mess with the gain. And if there's breaths, it'll read the breaths as noise, and you'll have ambience that's too high frequency, too much hiss basically. So it doesn't always work. Undertone is okay, but not as good, I've found, as AbsentiaDX, which I guess we could talk about next. Let me just wrap up, though, Izotope and why I like it. So Izotope, I know like spectral layers, people like that. They like a lot of the Acon declicking and stuff. I've paid for Izotope, a long time ago. And every once in a while, I'll upgrade it, when there's an upgrade that I thought is useful. But it just does so many different things. And the most important thing it does that I like is the spectral editing. And that's just kind of like what I talked about. It's the ability to edit in time and frequency domains. So to be able to basically Photoshop stuff, you know, is like, that's it. Like, that's really what I need to do. I'll have little bumps down here that I can just copy and paste and take them out. I don't have to use these modules very much because a lot of the work I do is really just editing in time and frequency domains. It's just copy and paste. Copy and paste, you could build a whole career off this. You know, for things like this engine right here, maybe I could use a module for this, but the other thing I could do, copy and paste. Let's find something that doesn't have the engine. Probably this piece right here. And then I can just highlight that, and it doesn't always work, but when it does work, it's great. There, engine's gone. You know, instead of using a tool, use your hands, make the problem, or make the problem go away. So yeah, good question here. House of Jen, have you ever had a situation where it's easier to work with RX standalone? Every time. I never use Aura. Aura is so unstable, like Simon says. Simon says, don't use Aura. It's unreliable enough, and since I'm doing this for a living, I don't touch Aura. Leave Aura for the true YouTubers, the clout chasers, and people who are going for, you know, clicks and stuff. I'm not going to use it. It's too flaky. I can't trust it. I tried it when it first came out with Auto Align Post 2, and I lost my alignment. So no, I'm not going to touch it. Terrible. I'm sure Avid will fix it, you know, in 15, 20 years, but for now, no, not touching it. Okay, good questions. I still have a bunch of stuff I got to get through, so I need to probably hurry up a little bit. Okay, so Izotope. There's a lot to cover in Izotope, so just know that it's great to use. The next thing, when you're editing dialogue, what's the hardest part of it? It's not taking out ticks and pops. It's not really layout stuff. It's finding room tone, fill to make the edit smooth. And if you're checkerboarding tracks, which you should do, and you're trying to get a smooth edit, which you should also do, you're going to need to find fill. And sometimes there's not enough fill. Like this, I've only got 2-second handles because this has been processed. So what do I do for this? Well, this is where AbsentiaDX really shines. The airtone generator can create fill. It's slow. It is slower than an 18-year-old hound dog, but it works. So if I render this, it's going to take, you know, 20 or 30 seconds, but generally this works better than the ambience match in RX. It's better than the ambience match in Izotope RX by probably 80%. And Simon mentioned Undertone Light by Audio Kids is good too, but I've already got, you know, Absentia, so I don't want to do that. Let's listen to this tone that it's made. Can you guys hear that? Let's see. Yeah, you should be able to hear that. It's probably way too low. Let me crank it. So here's the cut where this happens. So, you know, it doesn't always get it 100% correct, but it's usually pretty dang close. Let's just send these clips into Izotope so we can kind of see the difference in tone. It even got the ramp of the engine in there. So the ambience generation from AbsentiaDX is used daily, minutely, hourly when I'm dialogue editing. I would say this is my number 2 most used. Well, actually, maybe not. Because the other thing we need to talk about is, I'll leave that up, is Auto Align Post 2. If you're cutting stuff with a boom and lavs or anything with multiple mics, you need to line them up. Gone are the days of just picking the boom or picking the lav. We are using all the tracks that sound good. So that can mean multiple lav mics. It can mean multiple boom mics, plant mics. And you have, you know, 8 to 16 mics for each shot. How do you get them to where the phase relationship of all these mics is working together? you use auto align post 2. This will line up your lavs to your boom, or sometimes the other way around, the boom to the lavs, so that the frequencies are adding and not subtracting. I'll show you kind of a visual of, let's put lav 2 up here. So get out of there, Izotope. Without alignment, maybe I'll go, can I do, yeah, this is the original. No, okay, so I should be able to make this is a trick I've showed you guys before. Make your edit tracks, field recorder guide tracks, and then you can go back. So let's go to Josh's raw audio, and I'll kind of show you the problem with this. The lav mic is before the boom because the boom is further away. So you first have to decide which do you want to use for your sync reference, the boom or the lav. A couple of milliseconds of delay on the boom, I don't care about that. I'm going to align it to the boom. So without aligning, these are going to sound not so great together, and I'll show you what that sounds like.
My back, it's just, this job really takes a toll on the body.
Now listen to the difference of that to this. Oops, no sidechain track. Let's go boom. So you have to assign the sidechain track and then render it.
My back, it's just, this job. My back, it's just, this job really takes a toll on the body. My back, it's just, this job really. My back, it's just, this job really takes a toll on the body. It's just.
And now you can gain stuff up.
My back, it's just, this job really takes a toll on the body.
And it should be phase aligned. So here's an up, here's an up, up, down. So it is phase aligned. So super important. Also useful for drums. I've used this on drum tracks. Maybe I need the kick to line up to the overheads or the snare. Works great for that too. So that's important. Chameleon is kind of one of the back of the toolbox ones. It's more useful for mixing, but if I need to match an alt on a wide shot, or if I need to match reverb with ADR, sometimes I'll print this for the mixer. The other thing it can be really useful for is if you have a cut at the end and you need this to ring out because maybe you don't want him to say
toll on the bottom.
Toll, you could sample the reverb and apply it to create a tail. Really useful also for documentaries, for Frankenbites. And all this does is sample audio and create a reverb profile based on the natural reverb that exists in the file. So it's great for matching ADR, great for Foley, also good for Frankenbites, or matching shots. If you have a wide boom and then a close-up boom, and you need the close-up boom to have some of the same reverb, you can just sample it and load it, and then bam, it matches. So really good kind of back burner one. And then another one, not so much a back burner one as like, it's something that if you're editing ADR or dialogue and you're doing a lot of alts, or if you're having to sync things up, Serato Pitch and Time Pro, I put off buying this plugin for years because I, got by with the stock Pro Tools pitch shifters and the Waves ones. And finally I was like, I'm doing this enough to where I need the best quality. And still, even though this plugin's been around for 15 or 20 years, it is still the best vocal tempo and pitch changer on the market. And it's expensive. It's around $600, but it is totally worth it. You can get transparent pitch shifting with this, really closer to like 60%, 50% sometimes, depending on the voice, that you can't get. And I've tried every pitch shifter on the market. Serato Pitch and Time is still the boss. So I use this for syncing up alts or syncing ADR to picture quite often, but not as often. I don't use this as often as I use something like Izotope. Okay, so I talked about Keyboard Maestro. What else did we talk about? We talked about plugins. Those are kind of like the top ones. And let's see. We don't need to talk too much about Pro Tools. Shortcuts in Pro Tools, I mean, I'll talk about that a little bit. So, and really in Izotope as well, like if you have Izotope, if you're editing dialogue, you probably have this. go to Preferences and Keyboard and set up your own keyboard shortcuts. This will speed up your workflow immensely. Like D-click, I have it set to 1. That's probably my most used shortcut. Then when you're cleaning stuff up, instead of having to do this and then slide your mouse over and then D-click is here, but some of the other ones aren't where you'd expect them to be, and then opening that and hitting render, no, you don't need to do that. You can just hit 1 on your keyboard. In fact, you could even kind of make it a video game and just do them one at a time like this. And it's actually going to sound better. And then what if sometimes with these ticks, there's a little smush that's left behind? Well, let's see what I have set for spectral repair. Attenuate. I have that set to 3. So I can just go to 3. So cleaning up a, audio file can end up being like, do you guys remember, does anybody remember Mario Type? If you're in my generation, you probably remember Mario Type from like elementary, middle school. It was a game where it taught us to type because we were computer illiterate, and Mario would do his jumps and everything based on how fast you could type. Turn your isotope editing into Mario Type. Get your keyboard shortcuts, and then you can just make it a video game and say, well, how many Endermen can I defeat with my diamond sword? Not to embarrass myself, but my kids are into Minecraft, so they're super into that. If I could do little like creeper icons on here, I could probably have them declicking stuff for me all day. So yeah, use your keyboard shortcuts in Izotope. Also in Pro Tools, use your keyboard shortcuts. With whatever version they change this to, shoot, it's not where you'd think. It's keyboard shortcuts. You can do like pretty much anything with this. And I mean, really, like, what's your most used? I have 5 conflicts. Do I care about that? No, I don't care about that. Conflict builds character. Just set up your keyboard shortcuts to match your most used commands. For me, cut and paste, I'm not really going to change those. But maybe clip gaining, you want to change that. Go for it. So yeah, shortcuts will speed up your workflow. We haven't really talked about alts. Alts are important. If you're on the stream, somebody was asking me to do a video on alts. It was in our Discord. Let me just go there real quick and see who asked for this, because I saw their request and I was like, I don't know, because I can't really show, if I showed stuff that I was working on now, I would never work again in the industry. So if you're on the stream, just let me know who requested the alts workflow. I'm going to show it to you. It's not going to be with a real show. It's going to be with my short film that you can get on my website if you need a practice project. So I'll show you this real quick. Alts are super important. Oh, let me back up. What are alts? So let's say you have a shot where the character says something, but there's a truck going by, or a grip faints from hitting their jewel too hard and the C-stand crashes in the background, or the actor has a lisp on this one take. Any number of things that make it to where visually this is the take you want to use, but the audio is not great. And you're asking, do I ADR this? Do I cut to a different visual take and just say the sound is more important? Please do that. But if you don't, and you say, no, this is the take we're going to use, but I need the sound to be different, we use what is called an alt, an alternate take. And you can cheat by taking the take from a different shot and syncing it up to the existing shot. So let's just find something in here that we're going to replace.
You brought a gun, man.
Okay, we're not going to have video with this. It's just to hear it.
You brought a gun, man.
You brought a gun, man. Okay, great. So let's go to Absentia and let's say you brought. Oh, nice.
What the hell, man? You brought a gun? Oh, wait. Come on, man. You brought a gun? You brought a gun, man. You brought a gun. You brought a gun.
So this is awesome that I can use AbsentiaDX, something I'm already paying for, to create a database and then search with text. I can even sort it by character. I can sort it by scene, by take, by project, channel. And then I can spot these to ProTools. Let me just... Sure, let's... it needs to be Josh's mic, though.
You brought a gun.
All right, let's just do that one. I mean, why not? So I'm going to spot it to ProTools. And it spotted all the tracks. Maybe I don't want to spot all the tracks. Maybe I just want to spot the mono. So I'm going to do S. Oh, that's right. It does the boom. I wish it did the... This would be something I could bring up to the developers. Maybe I just want to spot the lav and it doesn't really let you do that. So we'll do the multi-track and that's fine. So with that workflow, you have to go up to the top track. So that, because it's 3, it's a boom and 2 lavs. So I'm going to spot the multi-track and then it's, what happened? Why did it not do, is it, oh, it's because there's a head in the file. Okay. So you'd probably normally do this on like a work track or something. Whatever. It's not going to be great.
I want it back.
Oh, no. That was the wrong clip mic. My B. So it should be A5.
You brought a gun.
Okay, sure. Sorry, this is kind of a mess. That's live TV, folks.
You brought a gun, man.
Okay. Oh, nope. I need to be on the lav, which is this guy, right?
You brought a gun, man.
All right. So a little janky, but
you brought a gun.
He doesn't say man in that.
You brought a gun.
He says you brought a gun, but that's the process for finding alts. So it transcribes the file, and then you can search it, and then you can spot it to ProTools. So you build a database, it transcribes, then you can search and replace. And it's so much faster than using SoundMiner or Soundly. I've tried Kraken. Joe is asking, is Absentia the same as Kraken? No, it's not. It's a different set of tools than Kraken. Kraken will do assemblies for you and do a bunch of other stuff. AbsentiaDX is really, this Alts Finder is excellent. I love it. It's great. But AbsentiaDX will do fill generation, which I use it mostly for. It can also reduce crickets, broadband noise, EMI. It can remove carbis, hums, ticks, birds, cicadas, and it can do all kinds of other stuff. And it's really useful. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife or a Leatherman for dialogue, and it's worth picking it up. I think Kraken is good too. I just have enough tools where it's like, I don't need that quite yet. And it's a little expensive, which I get. Mark spent a lot of time building it, and it's worth that amount, but I just can't justify buying it. Okay, so we talked about alts. I think that's good. Yeah, we covered everything I wanted to. So if anybody... Oh, Mr. Nelson says, don't forget about reverse. Reverse is great when you don't have enough fill. Yeah, so I'm good. I've covered everything I wanted to. I would say if you had to pick out of all these tools, if you had to pick one, maybe you're starting from scratch and you have nothing. Or just Pro Tools, for example. If I had to suggest you pick up one of these tools, it would be Izotope, because it unlocks the world of two-dimensional spectral editing for you. It comes with a lot of different problem-solving tools to fix the most common issues with audio, and it's just kind of an assumed tool that you'll have as a dialogue editor. So I would say start with Izotope, and then close second would be AbsentiaDX. Or no, sorry, not AbsentiaDX. Auto-align post. Third would be AbsentiaDX. Auto-align post, the ability to line up lavs, although you can do it manually, and I've shown in a video how to do that manually. It's faster and more accurate to use auto-align post, and you're going to be working with multiple mics. So those two are kind of like, get those first and don't worry about all the other stuff. Yeah. Joe has another follow-up question. Would this be something you use it in the RX Connect plugin feature? Not for alts. No, I don't. You can't. I mean, I don't think you can use AbsentiaDX with Izotope like that with the plugin feature. I don't think it works like that. I think it's just an AAX plugin actually, so it wouldn't even load. Yeah, if I could use it in Izotope, that would be cool. But I mean, I think they're kind of limited on their development budget. And having developed 2 plugins for ProTools and other, VST and AU formats, I get it. It's a pain in the butt. So yeah, I think I'm good. I think I covered everything. If you guys have any more questions or anything you want me to talk about, I've got like 5 minutes left, and we can cover stuff. While I wait for that, I will just kind of bump my own. I mean, I did talk about it, so I figured why not. Auto compressor. I'm really proud of this plugin. This is one that I made. See my name on there. So if you're looking for a transparent automatic compressor, you can get this on my website. I've got a link in the video description. Has different controls, lift, compression, has a trim setting so you can change the output level for different formats. And then it does have a proprietary multi-stage safety limiter just to keep you from going over. So this is great for voiceover, dialogue, live streams. People have been using it on Foley. I've used it on, like I have it on my aux for AbsentiaDX or for Izotope just to basically bring everything up to reference level. And it's, to my knowledge, one of the only automatic compressors on the market. It has automatic makeup gain and automatic ratio. The ratio is somewhat automatic, but the makeup gain is really the thing that's automated. So it'll get your dialogue or VO in the pocket way faster than manual clip gaining. And you can't clip it with the limiter on. So yeah, we've got some questions so I can stop my Billy Mays ShamWow sales pitch on that. Auto-align post work in DaVinci, Greg? It does. It has kind of a wonky workflow, which I've shown in a video. And it does work. It makes a set of new tracks. Mr. Nelson says, is it possible to swap a word in the select take with the same word in an alt take in RX? It totally is. Yeah, you can. That's kind of one of the strengths of spectral editing. Let me get a nice long run here. Oops, I'm doing my shortcuts again. It's like built in to my hands that I hit Option S to send. So sorry about that. That's hilarious. Okay, so you can do this. You can copy and move stuff wherever you want in Izotope. A cool kind of trick for this is taking an S. This is an S here. Maybe I want to add an S there. You can do that. Great question. Hey Thomas, love your channel. I'm working on a commercial with a few types of voices in it. Just a quick DX compressor question. Shoot, go for it. I'm all ears, ready to answer you. Let me just go back through my... Did I thank you guys enough? I feel like I need to thank you guys for watching. That's probably something I should do. So thank you guys for watching. It really jumpstarts my day on Tuesdays to stream. And it's something I look forward to starting like Monday, even Sunday. I'll be thinking about it. Like, what am I going to cover? So I just am really thankful to have this channel and have you guys to talk to. I'm super thankful for channel members. It has grown from this thing where I was like, I guess I'll try the membership thing and see what happens, to basically a community of people that are discussing things on a daily basis. And so I just, especially like Adam, Joe just joined, Simon, we have a couple Kevins, we have Mike, Jen, like there's so many people, Sean, that are just, Michelle even, like just keeping stuff going, you know, like sustaining the discussion, answering questions, asking hard questions. It's just been really nice. This is something I check like every day, a couple times a day, just to see what kind of discussions going on. So thank you to channel members for really building this community on Discord, and let's just keep it going. So I think the question, Greg Palmer, how to get consistent ambience across multiple shots in a scene. I've got multiple videos on that. That is called fill editing, getting fill for dialogue. If you go back through my dialogue editing tutorials, I cover that. AbsentiaDX can help. It can help you get those nice long 5-10 second fade ins and fade outs. And yeah, so that's how you do it. Other questions? Oh, here you go. Would you recommend setting a compressor on each single dialogue track, then setting another compressor on the main dialogue bus? So Flying Scarf, that is going to completely depend on if you're mixing a YouTube video, podcast, TV commercial, feature film, short film, TV show. Is it a narrative TV show? Is it a reality TV show? So it depends. I like to use both track and bus compressors depending on the project. If it needs to be more compressed, I will have fast track compressors and a slow bus compressor. If it's a film, I'm just having a very light bus compressor that's just catching loud stuff like yells, basically. If I need to shape the dialogue and it needs to sound a certain way, I'll use character compressors on the tracks, similar to, you know, if it was recorded to tape or something like that. So for radio commercial, go ham on the compression. Don't make it distorted, but use stacked compressors. Use a fast one and a slow one in series on the tracks or the bus. If it's a radio commercial, you might only have one voice, so it doesn't really matter. There is a benefit to having bus compressors in that you can push into them using your fader in Pro Tools. So a track compressor, you know, like this, if I lower it, it's still compressed, it's just lower output. If this was on a bus and I was pushing my track into it, I can get really creative with automation and how it affects the compressor's response. Yeah, 1176 and LA2A is a classic. I mean, that's like a classic vocal trip. Some people do it the opposite way, LA2A into an 1176. So play around with it, see what sounds best to you. And with that, I'm out of time. I have to clock in. And thank you guys again for watching, subscribing, commenting, joining as a member, buying stuff on my website, sharing my videos, like all that stuff. I try to say thank you every stream because it's coming from a place of being humble and being so thankful, I guess, for all this you know, YouTube thing and you guys and the time you spend with me. It's your time I'm taking, not my time. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I gotta get to work, so I'm gonna sign off. Any ideas for streams next week? Leave a comment, or if you're a member, you know, Discord, say, hey Tom, what about this? And I will do my very best to cover it because I want you guys to drive what kind of content I'm making. So have a good week. I'll see you next time.